Good Monday morning, everyone. Meteorologist Jim Dickey here in the ABC 7 Hurricane Center with another edition of Tracking the Tropics. Now, no active storms out there in the Atlantic, no named storms right now, but a couple areas that we are going to have to keep an eye on as we head through the next couple days, as we head through this week. So we start out with the wide view. I have two little dashed lines marking areas of low pressure, tropical waves. One that's moving across the eastern Caribbean Sea, that has been dubbed by the NHC Invest 95L. Remember, Invest, all that means, it's an area that they're keeping a little closer eye on. And then we also have a fairly strong little tropical wave emerging off the coast of Africa as we speak. Of course, it's almost August. We're going to have to start paying a little closer attention to those what are called African easterly waves as we go through the next month, as we're starting to get into the season where this is when these storms have a better chance to develop. The waters have warmed up, shear becomes less of an issue in this part of the world, and the Saharan dust that has been plentiful over the tropical Atlantic starts to wane down here too. So there's that wave moving out. You can already see a little bit of spin with it as it's moving out over the Atlantic. I'm not seeing much in the way of deep convection or deep thunderstorm activity with it right now. And there's a long, long time to keep an eye on this one. But over the next couple of days, this will move its way off to the west, northwest. Not even an area that the NHC has keyed in on yet and shown any development chances. But yeah, we'll be watching this as it nears the Caribbean, and that won't be until the end of the week and the weekend. So again, a long time for this, but something we'll be keeping an eye on. Sort of a little closer to home anyway, is this little swirl of clouds and thunderstorms in the eastern Caribbean Sea, which again has been dubbed Invest 95L by the National Hurricane Center. Now, you'll note when you're watching this loop here, the clouds have sort of collapsed with this. There's not nearly as much thunderstorm activity as was with it yesterday. It was looking pretty impressive there over the eastern Caribbean Sea, but that wasn't necessarily because of that alone. It was the environment it was in was sort of helping storms getting going. This thing has a number of hurdles in its way as it moves to the west-northwest over the next couple days. First of all, put a little track on this for you, show you the general direction it's going to move. It's going to head over Puerto Rico and Hispaniola, and there's some very high elevations there, some high mountains. Tropical systems do not want any type of land interaction to try to get themselves going, so that'll keep a lid on it. I also have the wind shear on it, the sort of red shade, very strong wind shear over the Caribbean Sea right now. It's going to move into that. That should keep anything going, and to sort of add even another thing into the mix, there's some Saharan dust overhead of it right now and in its way. I think that's a big part of the reason why all that thunderstorm activity really collapsed over the past couple hours. It's starting to interact with and sort of absorb and mix in that dry Saharan air layer. So again, the next 48, 72 hours, don't expect to see much out of this. And the NHC acknowledges that in their latest tropical weather outlook this morning. They have the development chance over the next 2 days about 10%. But as it nears the Bahamas and the Florida Straits, the shear will die down a little bit, gets away from that dry air. There is a small window of opportunity that perhaps something could spin up, and that's why they have the development chance back up to 20%. This isn't a huge concern at this point, not something I would worry yourself with just yet, just something we'll be keeping an eye on. And as we look at the GFS model, or the American models, it's just one run of one model showing perhaps a outcome of what could go on with this. So here we are by Wednesday, and again, all we're seeing right now is a subtle shift in the winds over Hispaniola and Cuba as it's centered right about Haiti at this point in time, and some increased rainfall as a result. No closed low, no tropical system, no tropical cyclone at that point in time. There we are by Friday, and now we have that same sort of wave structure showing up. This is by Saturday evening now, closer to Florida, closer to Cuba. This is an updated run from even what I put in here earlier on. The earlier run was showing a broad closed low over the southwestern Gulf, or the southern Gulf of Mexico rather, southeastern Gulf of Mexico, moving across the Keys and into the Gulf. But again, of note, see all that green? Rainfall over South Florida. I think that's the key here. Regardless of what goes on with if something weak does try to spin up, this is going to throw quite a bit of tropical moisture our way, and I do think Friday and the weekend ends up fairly stormy with this. Now, does something spin up? That's something we'll have to watch for as we go into the late part of the week, but I think the idea that this would be anything of huge impact to South Florida is sort of a very low-end probability at this point in time. It's something to watch, not something to worry about at this point. So some takeaways here. We're watching that wave that's emerging off the coast of Africa. I'd say that has a low chance for something to spin up here over the next week as it moves its way westward, but nothing going just yet. 95L, there's a lid over top of it. We'll keep it in check for the next couple days, but by Friday and the weekend, as it nears the Straits, as it nears the Bahamas and the coast of Florida, something weak could try to spin up. And regardless of development, this does look to bring a fairly rainy weekend to us here in Southwest Florida. Of course, we'll be tracking this very closely over the next couple days, so keep with us on air and online for updates. Until then, meteorologist Jim Dickey. Have a great day.